What's going on, everyone? It's Brain with JACOJE Fine Jewelry, your personal jeweler. Check me out. I got my Chargers jersey on. Why? Because we finally won a game this season. I don't always spend money, but when I do, it's on random jerseys for a team that only has one win on the season. But hey, I am Brain with JACOJE Fine Jewelry. I run a fine jewelry business. I can't be making videos. I should be wearing a suit, not a color rush jersey, so we gotta change that now. Okay, now I'm ready to go. What? This isn't the right hat. Okay, we gotta change this before we get started. And just like that, we're back in business. Okay, enough messing around. In this video, we're gonna look at the shipments that I'm shipping out, but I want to talk more in depth, and I know I've already made a video, but one, we got new subscribers, two, it's a common question, and three, I have nothing else better to do with my time than make this video. I wanna compare my 5.5mm flat curve chain to the 5mm Miami Cuban link. There's a big difference as far as gram weight and price, so I think we should talk in depth, so maybe to help some of you guys decide, should I just go with a flat curve, or do I invest in the big bad boy, the Miami Cuban link? So let's get started. So right off the bat, I just want to say, some of you may or may not know, but my everyday chains are two 5.5mm flat curves. I have a white gold. I've had this one for ages, and the yellow gold one I added last year. I felt with the yellow gold one, I felt overall I needed to add another so I could be two chain, one body. So I was thinking about another chain to add, and I said, you know what? I love my 5.5 flat so much that I'm just gonna get the yellow gold version because it works for me. Now I say that because honestly, I have the money to buy any chain that I want, and I have access to a lot of chains, obviously, so I don't want to just, that's against the argument that someone would say, well, just get the Miami Cuban link, it's bigger, it's better, why wouldn't you just go with that? My reason for what I just said is because I weighed out all those options, and I felt like just going with another yellow gold would work because I love the wear and I love how the 5.5mm flat curve looks on me and how it wears on me. It's just a simple look, and I never ever take these chains off. These really, in my opinion, aren't even a part of my jewelry collection. They're just something that I don't even notice anymore. Most of the times they're tucked in my shirt. You'll never see them unless you get the side view. So I just want to get that introductory so we don't undermine or discredit the 5.5 or the flat curve in general. Just because it is thinner and it is lighter doesn't take anything away from the chain overall itself. Speaking of two chain, one body, two chain, one neck, however you want to reference it, let's jump into this. Now, this is my 22-inch 5.5, and this is the 5mm Miami Cuban link. So I'm going against my cardinal rule. Don't wear a longer chain that's less width than the shorter chain unless it has a pendant. But I have this in a 24, I have this in a 22. It is what it is. So, but it doesn't look bad regardless. And right away, this is actually a really good referencing point for a lot of you guys debating on the 22, 24. I think that's the biggest debate when I get emails wondering if you should go with the 24 or a 22. I say there's not that much difference. It just really depends on you. And here it is right there. So both relatively short. I like the 22-inch, again, 6'1". I'm a bigger guy, but the 22-inch works best for me for everyday chains. 24 is not that bad. So if you look on the neck, honestly, and I said this in prior videos, with the 5mm and below, when you're comparing the Miami and the flat curve, you can't really tell a whole lot, and that's the good thing. You can't really tell if this is a Miami or this is a flat just from a distance. If you get closer, then you can start noticing the thicker, tighter links. But that's just a little sidebar, is just looking at it. As you get bigger, you definitely want to consider jumping to the Miami Cuban link because the bigger links look a lot better when they're thick and they're tight. The flat curve, you start noticing those gaps, a little more gaps in between those links. Let's take a look side by side, and right away you just see that the Miami Cuban link has the tighter links. And that kind of varies based on manufacturer. Just shop, if you're comparing widths like a 5mm, my 5mm to another manufacturer's 5mm, you just compare the weight and that'll tell the story if the links are a little more spaced out or thicker. And that's the same thing with the flat curb. You go to those big brick and mortar stores, they sell those really hollow open flat curbs, and I don't like those as much, but you gotta shop per gram. You gotta know what you're buying, the weight of the chain, so you know you're getting the best deal and the most gold for your buck. The other thing is the clasp. The Miami Cuban link has the traditional double lock clasp, 5mm and up. The ones 4mm and down on my website come with the lobster clasp, just like this flat curb. Now, I really prefer the lobster clasp for most chains over the double lock clasp, because for me it's easier to get on and off, and I've never experienced an issue as far as durability, it breaking and losing a chain. Sometimes the springs in the clasp get out of place and you have to repair them. That's kind of a pain or a hassle, but it's a quick and easy fix. But as far as everything else, I like the lobster clasp. I like this as well. I have people that buy a 3.5mm Miami and want the double box clasp. I understand it's kind of the look for the Miami Cuban link to have that clasp, but for the weight, you're okay with a lobster clasp as well. Both are good clasps in my opinion. Side by side, both beautiful chains. All in all, both are great picks. If you have a bigger budget and want to ball out a little bit, go with the Miami Cuban link. I think top three, that is a classic chain. For me, the flat curves worked a little bit better, but don't get me wrong, I'm definitely going to get a 10, 12mm, more longer, probably a 28, 30-inch Miami Cuban link eventually, just as a chain I could wear once in a while. But for every day, the flat curves work for me, and there's nothing better. There is nothing better than a nice gold 2-chain look. Get 2 chains before you add a pendant or anything else, because I love the 2-chain look. I think it's classic, and I think it does the most for you visually, look-wise, than any other piece of jewelry can do. You could add a big diamond pendant, but the 2-chain will win over the hearts and eyes of people around you, trust me. So go on my website, shop JACOJE, smash that like button, and we will see you on our next jewelry video.